Welcome back to the CUBE studio here at the New York Stock Exchange. I'm Gemma Allen, and this is part of our programming with NYSE Wired. And today we're talking all things the AI Agent Conference happening here in New York in 2 weeks. We're partnered with Simon Chan and that team, and we are talking to some of the folks who are being honored on the AI Agent 100 list. Joining me now is Ang Lee, CEO and co-founder of Simular. Welcome, Ang.
Thank you, Gemma. It's my pleasure to be here.
So, for those not familiar, tell me a little bit about Simular, what exactly it is that you guys do.
Yeah, we are AI agent company, and we are building the infrastructure layer for autonomous computers. So basically, the goal is to make this computer fully autonomous. So that's why we call it autonomous computers. And I think the idea is computers are very useful. Like we move all of the information sharing to this digital space, but the problem is still not efficient. We actually did an experiment. We track some friends like time on moving their fingers on the trackpad on this laptop, and surprisingly, we find one of them spent 5 hours a day just moving the fingers on the trackpad.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a huge amount of time wasted.
I
right?
would probably be there myself.
Yeah, so that's the problem. Like, computers are useful, but it's not efficient. What if we have an infrastructure layer that can make the computers fully autonomous, and you don't have to work in front of the computers? You can just use your phone, say, computer, do this task for me, finish this this paper, like book the restaurant, book the flight for me. That's gonna be like human would be freed from this kind of mundane task.
Well, it's certainly a fascinating concept to imagine. I think a year ago, a lot of people didn't really know what we meant by, a fully autonomous computer, right? An agent acting on your behalf. But this year, because of OpenClaw and all of the noise and media surrounding that acquisition, and then we saw NemoClaw by NVIDIA, which is obviously a more enterprise-focused version. Suddenly, this idea of an autonomous agent working on your behalf on any device seems very real. How does your product differ to, say, an OpenClaw? Like, what are the unique differences in what you're offering versus like the Mac Mini option in a wardrobe somewhere in Brooklyn?
Yeah. So the Mac Mini idea we had is like we work on this problem for 3 years already. In the beginning, we're working on this AI computer use agents already. And probably I need to expand a little bit about computer use agents. So the idea is have a software agents on your computers that can move the mouse, type on the keyboard for you. So it's a general purpose agents. And OpenClaw started in October last year. And OpenClaw is really like an agent that hook you up with a lot of APIs.
Yeah.
Yeah, APIs meaning some companies, they produce API interfaces for other people to use for automating this software. But computer use is a different category. So from my perspective, in the current agent industry, we have two types of agents. One is API agents. The other is called CUA, computer use agents. API agents, you have all the softwares coding. You do coding to connect all of the softwares in there. Computer use doesn't require anything. Computer use only requires you to have a laptop or a computer that have the GUI on your interface. And the computer use agents look at the screen and deciding which button I need to click on. What's the pixel I need to click on? What kind of thing I need to type in there. So it has the full capability of replicating any human digital work in your computer. It doesn't require any like API connector in there. So that's the main differentiation I see from my perspective about our company. We are dedicated to solve the computer use agent problem, which is, I would say, is complementary to most of the agents out there in the current industry. And in the end, I can see with combination of API agents and computer use agents, you have the full spectrum of capabilities for the agents in the digital space.
Wow. Yeah. So much to unpack there for the tech side of it, and we're going to go there. But before we do, your own background, this company, stage and funding. So you guys have raised 21.5 million just this year, 27 total, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, Series A.
Yes.
You yourself have a research background, correct? You were at Google before this?
I was in DeepMind. I was early team members in DeepMind in the Mountain View team. Sitting with the Google headquarters. So we do lots of collaboration with Google teams inside all of the Alphabet projects.
Wow. And then the decision to found this company, founded in 2017.
I joined DeepMind in 2017, and I founded the company in 2023.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So kind of
Yeah.
6 months, 6 years of learning and seeing kind of led to this.
Yeah, I think the idea of this company is that already like I've been thinking about this problem for long when I was in DeepMind. So the core thing is DeepMind is everyone in DeepMind is they're smart. Everyone is smart. Everyone is fascinated about the concept called AGI, artificial general intelligence. And I have to ask myself this question: what is AGI, and how do we achieve it? Right. So to me, this autonomous computer is a minimum form of AGI. It's a minimum form of general intelligence, meaning there's a machine that can just do everything that a human can do in the digital space.
Wow.
Right? That's general intelligence. And then the question for me is like, how do I achieve that? Like, what's the approach, right? And I was basically leading the continual learning research in DeepMind. So my research agenda is about thinking about how machines can continuously learn by interacting with the world, right? So in this computer context, it's about human using computers, and I somehow use computers to do my task. I teach the agent to do all different kinds of digital tasks, and how this computer can learn from me, right? Learn about my insight, how I do things, continuously improve itself, right? In order to have this kind of systems, we need a product to be in front of every human users.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the moment I
So-
feel we should start a company for doing this kind of work.
It's an interesting time in the space because we just heard this week about Meta recording keystrokes of employees, and there is this whole,
Yeah.
I guess fear, which is probably very real about what it will mean for human relevance, right? And how
Yeah.
humans will play in this next wave of technology. You mentioned the idea that, actually computers or even having to use your own desktop to run tasks, it's holding us back, right? If you can prompt something remotely to run a whole load of, tasks for you on a day-to-day basis, it can make humans more efficient.
Yeah,
The
that's right.
challenge is, though, I guess, and especially on enterprise level, and we saw and learned this with the introduction of Nemo Claw and why that seemed like a more, I guess, advanced or mature option for enterprise and for businesses. Then OpenClaw is obviously governance, compliance, guardrails,
That's
how
right.
much you ever want any agent to have access to your Fidelity account, your bank accounts, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about I guess, right now, the prime use case for Simular. Like, give me an example of whose day this is making better. Like, what sort of individuals or, scenarios and workflows is it solving for?
Yeah. So that's a good question. And since our platform is pretty general, so we see all different kinds of use cases coming from different industries. For example, I can give you one example is there's a small business owners called me and saying, okay, I have to generate invoice in my QuickBooks every day 100 times. Yeah, 100 times. Meaning the person needs to manually, that's the business owner, manually click on the keyboard, click on the mouse, generate invoice 100 times. They asked me, can you actually automate that? Yeah. And after a few hours, we give them the option that's fully automated.
Wow.
They don't have to do this job. And there's another car dealership called me saying, okay, I have 100 cars coming to my dealer every month, and I have to search the VIN numbers, and I have to put all the forms in there. How do I do that? How do I automate it? Right now, it's also automated. And in terms of this general purpose agent called Sai, we just released in March. We also see a lot of use cases in financial services, like one of the fund manager. They asked the agent to automatically go to different platforms and research the information every morning, and from different sources, and then aggregate the information and for them to decide the important decisions in there. And the reason they can do that is because I think you mentioned a very important part, which is the guardrails and security stuff. Not just for enterprise, not just for business, everyone needs it. It's all about trust. And I want to mention one thing I think is very important is we are the first company in the industry that surpass human performance in a public benchmark called OS World.
Wow.
Computer use benchmark. That's happening in December. And OpenAI and Anthropic also part of the benchmark. They break human performance this year. But people keep asking me like, okay, you break human performance there, then why computer use agent is not taking off yet? The reason is the benchmarks only tell us the capability of the agents. It doesn't talk about the reliability of the agents. right? It's kind of like you hire a person who are capable, but you want a person to be successful every time you delegate the task to the person. So that's the part we are currently missing in the industry, which is the trust and reliability. Can we actually let the agents to perform these tasks every day and successful? So that's something we are building. Our proprietary technology actually solve that problems. And we don't believe the current large language models, the neural net-based approach, can solve the reliability problem, because every time you ask ChatGPT the same question, it's not going to give you the same answer each
For
time,
sure.
right? But we are talking about the workflow with a million steps. Each time you ask chat LMs about what to do next, it's not gonna give you. You have like maybe 1% of a chance give you something random, and then your whole workflow screwed up, right? So that's the problem. We believe it's gonna be the last mile of agents. Once this reliability problem is solved, agents will be massively adopted in the whole industry. So that's what we see in there.
It's
yeah.
interesting that you give the example of small business, right?
Uh-huh.
Because I think it's such an important part of society. And in some ways, it is a part of society that was failed by SaaS.
Yeah.
You know, licensing models were very expensive. A lot of small business owners didn't gain the benefit of some of these huge platforms and tools to the same degree, I guess, that, you know, mid-cap or upper-cap companies did, right?
Right.
And when you think about even the conversation right now around OpenClaw, it's very difficult for somebody who's running, you know, like the example that you gave, a small business, you know, and creating or recording VIN numbers, to imagine how they would go about buying a Mac Mini, you know,
Yeah.
creating an agent, setting it up, right? Like that part of it is very intimidating.
Yeah.
How plug and play is this option? Like if I am a small business owner selling, you know, in the kind of 10 to 50 million bucket, you know, every year, how quickly can I adopt something like this, and how quickly can I gain efficiencies from it?
Yeah, that's actually what we like pushing for. We want something that's so easy to use that you come to our platform, 5 seconds, you have a computer already there, so you don't have to buy a Mac Mini, right? It just feels so weird that you have to buy a Mac Mini and then run the agents in there. So we actually have a cloud infrastructure. We have all the Windows machines in the cloud infrastructure. A user came here, 10 seconds, we give you a virtual machine, virtual desktop in there. It's a full desktop with all the GUI. It's just like the screen you're using right now. So that's, I feel that's very important, because we feel if we have this technology that can make computers fully autonomous and trustworthy, and every time you know, like our agents always ask you for approval. If they want to do like submit a LinkedIn post or send an email, you always ask your approval. So you won't do something without your approval. So this is also important for the guardrail. If we solve the reliability problem, we solve the trust, we solve the capability problem, we're almost there. And then the question is, do everyone in the world still want just one computer? You might come to me saying, I want 100, because that's the only way for you to be 100x productive in your work.
For sure.
Right? Then the question is, do I need to buy 100 Mac Minis? No, I don't have space in my home, right? So it feels so natural that we as a company, we should just build the infrastructure for the cloud computers and give 100 computers to you as a user, and then you suddenly become 100x productive.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's actually an interesting observation. When we build a product, we saw 2 types of people in the industry. One type of people is they really hate their job. Yeah, they don't like what they do, like just manually like copy pasting stuff every day.
It's repetitive, mundane, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right?
They don't like their job. They come to us saying, can you actually like help me to do the job so I don't have to do that, right? So they can be more creative by this technology, which we believe is in the we are helping people in the positive way. And interestingly, another big set of people, they're really passionate about their job. They also come to us as well. So that's the interesting part. Like what we observe is they want to do more. Yeah, they feel AI technology can help them to do more in what they already love.
For sure.
Yeah, for example, people building apps, building products, I found they spend more time on using agents and become so scalable.
So we've talked to some small business owners here that would say they could spend anything in excess of, you know, $1,400 to $1,800 a month just on LLMs, right? You know,
yeah.
like burning through tokens.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
How does this work from the perspective of tokens, licensing? Is it usage based? You know, how do you, I guess, cost configure this
Yeah.
for small business?
So that's actually an interesting part about the technology we are building. So I think the first thing everyone needs to recognize is LLM is not going to solve the reliability problem so far from what we observe. Then in order for us to solve the reliability problem, we have to move whatever uncertain part of the workflow to be certain. The way to do that is moving that to become symbolic like layer, like code, programming language. So we have this infrastructure to move neural net-based approach to code. And this solves the reliability problem. At the same time, it reduces your token cost, right? Because when you run the code, you don't have to ask LM every time.
Okay, so we're kind of talking on the edge here, essentially.
Yeah, so you have a lot of tokens spent in the first time.
Yeah.
Every time we run the workflow, you don't actually need to ask LM a lot.
Because it's caching.
It's kind of like caching, but it's a different mechanism in there. Yeah, so I think that's the interesting part. You solve it's kind of two birds, one stone.
Okay,
yeah,
so it's like kind
two
of
problems at the same time.
A neural network solution to very much like it's actually a problem. Okay, so fascinating company. I mean, I'm certainly very interested. Maybe here at theCUBE we could even try this because we need help with research every day, right? We have to say. So I think there's a lot of benefits. Looking forward to seeing you in May here in New York. But to close us out, tell me a little bit about what's ahead for you and the team at Simular. Like, what are you working towards over the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, I think we launched the product in March. We see a lot of traction there. And the main job for us is to make our users happy, really optimize the product to be really easy to use. That you come here and just chatting with I use my phone more now. Nowadays, I use the computers less. I basically text my agent saying, okay, can you actually go to Zoom meeting and talk to my team? And there's one day, my agent go to Zoom and talk to my team in there. Yeah. So that was the moment I feel, okay, like the AGI that we are actually like working for so many years may finally come very soon. Wow. Yeah. So that was the moment.
So you think we're pretty much at AGI, like we're very, very close?
Yeah, we feel it's very close. That you keep getting this kind of moment. You feel, okay, wow, why this machine can do something that we can never imagine before?
Yeah.
Right. We're really looking forward to pushing for this kind of technology that make it available to everyone. It's not just tech-savvy people, like normal people, SMBs, right? And non-technical peoples, marketing peoples, they can all access this technology and help themselves. Wow. Like either you don't like your job, use the agents.
Wow.
Like your job, become more scalable, 100x. So that's what we are really looking for.
And who is a better Boston colleague, you or your agent? Who do your team enjoy speaking with more?
I think both. I think that's the interesting part. Is when you talk to agents more, you feel more valuable, have this kind of in-person relationship between humans. So I think both will be very important in the future society. And we should value both kinds of communication.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fascinating thought to end on. Thank you so much for coming on theCUBE.
Very nice chatting with you.
I'm Gemma Allen here at the CUBE studio at the New York Stock Exchange. This is part of our program with NYSE Wired. We are covering the AI Agent Conference happening here in New York in just 2 short weeks' time. Thanks so much for watching.